MindShift Power Podcast.
This is MindShift Power Podcast, the #1 critically acclaimed podcast where we have raw, unfiltered conversations that shape tomorrow. I'm your host, Fatima Bey, the Mind Shifter. And welcome, everyone. Today we have with us Vihaan Reddy. He is out of Pennsylvania in the USA, and he is a TEDx speaker. He is 13 years old, and he has a lot to say that I can't wait for you all to hear. How are you today, Vihaan?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So tell us about yourself and why are you here?
I am 13 years old. I am in middle school. I participate in tennis. I am a cross-country runner, and I also do track at school. I am here because I would like to share a message with everybody that helps people make better decisions, and I would like them to take away knowledge from that and use it in their life.
Okay, and you really do have that. So before we talk about that, or anything you've spoken about publicly already, I want to ask you this. Where were you right before you learned how to control your reactions?
Well, that's a really good question. Mentally, I was a very impulsive person. I used to get mad at the littlest things. Like, I actually have an example. So I was at tennis practice, and we were doing something called cross court drills, where you hit the ball to each other like on a cross court side. And I was I was not doing so good, and I did so bad that I actually slammed my racket onto the court.
Oh,
And that was probably one of the most like impulsive moments for me before I learned um how to pace myself.
okay. Let me ask you also this. What did people misunderstand about you back then? Or what do you think they misunderstood about you back then?
One of the things that I felt they misunderstood about me is that I was, as I just said, I was very impulsive. And I think that they kind of misunderstood the way that I acted. As I just said, I was an impulsive person and they thought that I was kind of calm.
They thought you were calm until they saw your reaction. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
And then they were shocked, like, why is this kid acted out? So there was something, now pace is what we're going to talk about. It's something you came up with. But I want you to tell the audience what happened in your life that changed everything for you. What set this off?
So, one of the very big events in my life that has sort of changed me in a way is when my foot, it actually got run over by a car.
What?
And yeah, and in that moment, I knew that lashing out would not be helpful because it would just make everything worse. I knew that if I just sort of stayed calm, of course I was feeling pain, but if I just stayed calm and sort of just think about getting better, like pause, assess, choose, and engage, I would make a better decision and choose not to get angry or lash out.
So let's take a step back. How did your foot get ran over by a car?
So I was coming back from a basketball practice with my friend, and his dad was driving. He thought that I was all the way in the car, but I wasn't. And
Oh.
then he started driving, and my right foot got under the tire, actually.
Oh my God. And you were able to be calm in that situation?
Yeah, a little bit.
Wow. Because I know I would have freaked out. I think most people would have been just going berserk. But you're right. So you paced yourself. So explain what that means.
So PACE has 4 parts. So all 4 parts is pause, assess, choose, and engage. The first part, pausing. Before you make a decision, you have to pause, like literally just if you're doing something and you're about to make an impulsive reaction, sit down, take a breath, or take a sip of water. That's what pausing means. And assess. Assess means to look at the different outcomes that could come from, like, look at the different outcomes that could come out from where you're thinking and then choosing. You could choose one of those outcomes, and to engage, you put it into your everyday life, and what was about to become an impulsive decision became a better decision where everything was good.
So pause. How do you pause when your emotions are raging in that moment?
Here, I have an example. If the tennis story that I just said, when my emotions were really, really high and I was super angry, I could have taken a breath, taken a seat on the bench, and literally just paused for a moment and taken a sip of water and just think about what I was gonna do. Oh, I mean, like if I used pace in that event, it could have made things a lot better.
Yes, but based on what you're telling me, you hadn't come up with that yet.
Yeah.
And so did you come up with pace after your foot was run over and you realized what you did and gave it a name? Is that how it happened?
No, it actually came
Oh,
before
okay.
my foot was run over. So I have this other story. I was doing a private lesson with my tennis coach, and we were working on something called forehands in tennis,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not doing really well again. And he taught me that one small thing can make the biggest of changes. So he actually told me there's something called maxing your wrist in
Mm-hmm.
tennis, where you turn your wrist when you're about to hit the ball, you turn your wrist all the way out when you're setting for your forehand. And that actually not only gives you more power, but also closes the racket so it doesn't open
Mm.
and the ball goes flying up. So basically, what my coach was doing at that time, he was using pace. When
Oh,
he was looking at my form, he paused and he assessed me by looking at my form and saw what I was doing wrong. And he chose that I was not maxing my wrist all the way. And and by engaging, he told me that to do that, and my form got a lot better from that.
okay. So you're saying this is something that people can use in sports as well.
Yeah, they can use it anywhere in life.
What are some other places you think people can use pace?
Another place that they can use pace is anywhere. If they're um about to make a decision, say you have a test and there's this problem that you're stuck on. First, you pause. You think and then you assess. You think about all the things that you have learned in that chapter or lesson, and you choose to put all that knowledge on the test, and you engage by choosing the answer.
So it sounds like you're choosing your focus. Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's
yeah.
something that I kind of teach a lot that, we can I completely agree with you. It's easy to let our emotions take over and just run us through the mud. But we have to pause and assess. That's pausing and assessing, that is a choice. That's one of the reasons why your system works. Um, because we have to pause and assess. Only then can we do something better. So let me ask you this. If you hadn't paused, if you hadn't used pace, um, when you're, in that moment when your foot got ran over, what would you have done instead? What would have been the outcome of that as well?
So the outcome that would have happened is that I know that I probably would have yelled a lot at the driver. And not only is that not helping him, but it's not helping me either. Is that going to
Mhm.
change my foot? No, it's not.
Nope.
And yeah, and I felt like if I didn't use pace in that moment, things would be a lot worse than how it occurred.
Agreed. And you know what else I think? I think the pain would have actually been worse.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? Do you agree with me or am I wrong?
yeah, because you're actually feeling mental pain, but you're also feeling like physical pain from the
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we choose to freak out, it actually makes whatever we're dealing with worse. Whether it's physical pain or mental
Yeah.
pain, like you said, it's a very good point. Any kind of pain, it just makes it all worse. So what if someone your age said, "Hey, that pace thing sounds good, but it wouldn't work when I'm angry." What would you honestly say to them?
I would actually tell them to try it. If when you're in a situation that you're angry, say you just had an argument with your friend and both both of you guys are kind of mad at each other. Why don't you be the bigger person? You use pace to make the situation better. You know, give your friend a call or text him, say, "Hey, I'm sorry." And I feel like I don't know, you should just try it out for yourself.
Honestly, that's probably the best advice. Just try it. Just try it, because sometimes you're like, "This ain't gonna work," until they try it and they're like, "Oh, that does work." Just like with sports and coaches, sometimes I've seen people that just don't wanna do what the coaches said, and then when they do what the coaches said, "Oh, look, it worked." Um, what advice do you have for the youth of the world today, your peers?
Uh, One piece of advice is pace yourself, obviously. And another thing that I would say is always try to take in knowledge. Don't try to push others away
Hmm.
and try to use pace to make better decisions. Yeah.
What do you mean? Let's take a deeper dive into what you just said. Let others in instead of pushing them away, I think is the way you just worded it. What do you mean by that?
I mean that instead of so say that you're in a class and a teacher tells you something inside your head you're thinking, "Oh yeah, I already know that. I'm good." But
Mm,
in that the teacher could also be talking about, something important, and instead of pushing it away, use pace to take in that knowledge and use it.
very interesting. So what I hear you saying is accept some knowledge and wisdom from other people instead of immediately dismissing it. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah, and guess what, adults? Some of y'all need to hear that advice too. Um, because I think it's very easy to not do that sometimes. But I think especially because you were giving advice for your peers, it is real easy to dismiss some of the adults, and sometimes the way us adults come across makes it even easier to dismiss us because we're so um, extra or rude or wagging of our finger, and then we all, when people do that, we just ignore them. Um, but you're right. Listen to some wisdom. So when you say that we should hear what people have to say, does that mean we need to just accept everything we hear?
No, so this is where pace gets tied in again. So you can use pace to choose what you need to hear and what you don't need to hear. So say while you're trying to study, your friend was talking about some, other random thing. Use pace. Tell them, "Hey, can you give me a moment? We can talk about this later." But a good way when to use pace is another good way when to use pace is when if somebody, like I said before, I gave an example about a teacher telling you something. That is a good time to use pace and take in the knowledge that they're giving you instead of, I don't want to say negative knowledge, but just something that your friend is telling you while you're trying to do something else.
Okay. So what I'm extracting from that is, and I'm going to add to it a little bit. Yes, you need to take in knowledge or wisdom, um, or understanding from others, but you know we should have a filter with it. Um, we should at least give things a chance first. And sometimes if you reject it because it's not true, then hey, then it's not true and you just reject it, and that's okay. But at least try to listen first. Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah.
Yep, and that's the pause and assess part. So once again, what does PACE stand for?
Pace stands to pause. Think about, just pause a moment. assess. Think about the actions that you can do. Choose one of the actions that you think is the best and engage. Put it into real life and see that the decision that was going to be impulsive that you were about to make was actually better because you use pace.
Yes. And I want to add to this, and I'll just say this myself. I think that in listening to this, if we take your advice and we use pace and we actually think about pace before the situation occurs, it's much easier to use it. So I would advise everyone to actually listen to what Vihaan is saying and think about the different ways that you can use it. Because if you're listening, you already know what sets you off. You already know where you could be using this. So think about start using it today, because what he's saying is absolutely true. And coaches all over the world, and other positions, not just coaches, actually do use this. And it's really another form of wisdom. And I'm going to say this. Some of y'all will keep out of jail because you used pace. So where can people find your TEDx talk, Vihaan?
If you just go onto YouTube, you can search up Vihaan Reddy TEDx or Vihaan Reddy TEDx talk, and it will probably be the first result that comes up.
And I will also add it to the show notes or the description. It'll be on the episode page on my site. So I will actually add the TEDx video there. So if you guys want to see it, and I strongly urge that you do, it's not too long. Go to this episode page on my website and you can watch the video there because I'm going to embed it there. And also, if anybody wants to get a hold of you to maybe have you speak to their youth, or on some other stage besides TEDx, how can they get a hold of you?
They can use my Gmail. My Gmail is reddygvihaan@gmail.com.
And that will also be in the episode description, so you can link it right there if you'd like. Well, Vihaan, thank you so much for coming on today. I absolutely love talking to you. And you are an example of what I talk about a lot, in that there's so much wisdom in our youth, and some of us adults need to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And now for a mind-shifting moment. I want to focus on a portion of what this young man said in this episode. As you can hear, there is great wisdom in this 13-year-old young man. Many of us do not get some of this wisdom until we're much older. But at 13, he has a lot to say. Pace. I want to focus on the first two letters of what he said. Pause and assess. One of the biggest life wisdom advice you can ever get is that one right there. It's very deep. How often have we made mistakes in our lives? And this is for any age, youth or adults. How often have we made mistakes in our lives because we didn't pause and assess? You got pregnant or got her pregnant because you didn't pause and assess. You got into that fight because you didn't pause and assess. You got into a car accident because you didn't pause and assess. You got fired because you didn't pause and assess. Think about it. My goal with that, my point with that, is not to make you feel guilty about the things you've done in the past. We've all made mistakes, myself included. But to get you to focus now. The past is done, but you have now in the future. I want you to go away with that much. What can I do this week where I can pause and assess and save myself a hell of a problems and more hassle and more headache and more consequences? I want you, if nothing else, to remember, pause and assess. One of life's greatest wisdoms. You've been listening to MindShift Power Podcast. For complete show notes on this episode and to join our global movement, find us at fatimabey.com. Until next time, always remember, there's power in shifting your thinking.
Oh.